Smokin Tobacco's coverage of the 2024 Premium Cigar Association Trade Show is brought to you by Drew Estate, the rebirth of cigars.
Hey everybody, Kevin Acuff with SmokinTobacco.com. Once again from PCA 2024 with coverage brought to you by Drew Estate. We are in the Cavalier cigar booth with Mr. Sebastian. How do you say your last name?
Decope, yeah.
Decope. Okay, hey.
That's not, you were really close. You were really close.
Butcher it too bad.
No. Yeah, honestly, over the years, I just don't even use my last name anymore. I just Sebastian. I stop it. It's such a hard name, right? It just doesn't. It works only in French. There's no other language anywhere on the planet where that name works. So
my French is basically like French bread and French fries. That's about as French as I understand.
That sounds actually pretty good. I've not eaten yet, so yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
now I'm hungry. That's gonna be. I think we're getting to the end of it, so we'll be good. Go grab some food after.
Hey, 3 long days.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's different because it's so early in the year. It really changed all the dynamic of the releases and everything. And there's stuff that, typically we were used all these years. We've been showcasing, for example, the Elite just before shipping in July. Right. This Elite is still for July. I don't have anything to show for it. We have the molds, we have the blend. I don't have the boxes though. I don't have the bands.
Right.
And it's March, so. All this is a bit of we need to adapt a bit to that.
Yeah, so you just kind of have to get in and readjust this sort of thing. Now,
when I think everybody kind of does, because it's such a big change compared. I mean, it's a good few months, right?
Right.
It's closer to last shows, and it's going to be very far from the next show. So it's going to be an interesting year to adapt to that. And same thing for the releases, the core, and everything. That we have here to show. We actually releasing stuff that we show that we're shipping as of the end of the show, but we also are showing stuff off that are not in their final design and will only be shipped in June. So it's a little bit of a weirder process, but we'll adapt. It's a curve. It's what it is. So yeah.
Now, I mean, as time goes on with the earlier show date, is that something that's going to pivot to where shipping things will be able to recalibrate to the earlier date, or is that pretty much just based on the nature of the industry? Is that just the summertime? That seems to be when, at least in my experience with the cigar world, that seems to be when stuff just ships. So I don't know if it's a product of that's just when the show was, or if just seasonally, or with everything else involved, that's just the time of year that it has to be.
A bit hard to know exactly, but I think the show had a big, the show has always been and should always be a vehicle to present products, right? Because everybody is coming into the one place to show and to come see. It makes sense. Yeah, you don't have to hit one person after the other. You can have most of the crowd at once, and then you'll do everybody that wasn't there. I think it influenced quite a bit of where the releases were made and everything. But I don't know. On my side, at least on the Cavalier side, with the team here, we're not sure about. I don't think that we're going to change too much of what we're doing or the schedule we had. It forced some releases a bit earlier. It was okay. We could prepare for it, but it still forced some, and then it forced also to rethink about how we plan for the rest of the year, right? Because it leaves a big gap where we don't have the opportunity. We'll introduce products, but we won't have the opportunity to have everybody or a good chunk of the people from the industry in that one place.
Right.
So now, how do you put that out? Yes, there's press outlets, etc., but the fact of seeing something in person is
that's a big difference. It's like when you can actually touch and view and even sample the product. That makes a big difference as opposed to just reading about it.
No, absolutely. It's the same thing. Like it's like let's say you love tobacco, you love cigars, you've probably watched videos about, people rolling in factories and stuff like this. But I can tell you, like, living in factories, right, it's just not the same thing. And every time we bring people down, the smells, the noise, the experience, the people, the smiles, what you touch,
100%.
the feed, all your senses get involved. You don't get the same experience. You might get excited to get some knowledge watching the video, but being down there is a very different thing. Same thing with presenting a cigar to show versus on a press release, right? Press release, nice picture and everything, that's great, but it's not a long-lasting, kind of impact. It's like, oh, I read it, what's the next one, right? When you're here, you're like, oh shit, I really like the box, I really like the bands, I really like the wrapper, I really like the shade of that wrapper, whatever it is, the size, but you have that in person first. You engage much more emotion when you see that.
Oh, right. I totally 100% understand that, especially, having been able to experience, I've been in a couple factories down in Honduras and in Nicaragua, so I definitely know where you're coming from with that experience. It's just, if you can see it, you can touch it, you can smell it, definitely makes a difference.
So much more,
For sure. But see, that's when we come in and we got to really try and help and push the product and get it out
we
there.
appreciate
Then you just have to go out and do more shows and
100%.
more public experience. Which of course, that puts a strain on you because now you're doing more travel and everything to get the word out. But hey, in the end, it's worth it because
that's what we do, right? That's what we do, and of course, it brings a bit more weight on the shoulder of the whole team, right? It means that all of us are going to have to do a bit more and engage a bit more, which is not a bad thing. It just means the schedule is fucked up. That's all I know.
And you know what though? We see you guys out there. You see you out there. See your boy
appreciate
Brian out there a lot. So we get to hang out with him on a regular basis at some of the places. So it's cool. So hey, you're definitely going to be out there.
Yeah.
But having said all that,
yes.
So now we do have some new releases that were announced here at the show.
We do. Yeah, we do. So the beauty of it for you guys watching is I don't have any samples or anything anymore, so I can't even show you right now. So we're in a pretty bad shape. But I'll make sure that we'll send some extra pictures out and everything. So keep an eye out on social and with all your favorite press outlets because they'll have everything you do need. Smokin Tabacco right there.
There you go.
And so the thing is, we went back to you guys have followed. We've done a lot of new brands over the last few years. Inner Circle with the new line extension, Domaine Rouge last year, Tres Delincuentes, and all that was something I really needed because I needed the creative process. If you do the same shit over and over and over again, you get bored of it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it because you're going to do average. Don't do it. So. That said, we did a lot of this over the last 2 years, so we wanted to make sure to focus back onto what allowed us to be here today, which is Gold Diamond, right? Which is what Cavalier, I would say, is known for, has been known for, hopefully will be known for in the future still.
And that was how I first heard of the brand, was the Gold Diamond that you could smoke.
And so we went, instead of releasing full new lines, we decided to release new sizes. But then again, we already have a Robusto, right? 5 by 50. Do we really need it 5 1/4 by 52? Not really. However, that allowed us to work on funky sizes, something a bit sexy. So the new release that's coming out right now is a Petite number 2, which is a Petite Torpedo. Something you barely see in the market. I fell in love with that size a few years ago. And honestly, it was in Europe at the time, and it's not something I've seen in the market here that much. So I'm excited to bring that to the market because it's a nice little thing, and you guys will see it when it hits the shelves over the next few weeks now. It just works perfectly. It gives you a real alternative to some of your Robustos and stuff like this, something to add onto what your experience of the different blends. So we're doing this in the white, black 2, and in the Viso Jalapa, which are the original vehicles of the brands, right? Right?
Oh, exactly.
And then for later this year, we actually wanted to continue with that process, but dig a little deeper, because the white, black 2 and Viso come in the regular white, black 2 Viso presentation, same box shapes, etc., very much in line with the brands that already exist. But we want to play a bit around with it, so we're releasing something that we call Tempura, which is a doble figurado, a short doble figurado, a little bit like some might say a peg or something like this if you want. We just didn't want to go that route, let's put it that way. And Tempura fits the size amazingly. And so It's first of all, the size I think is amazing. It's a nice shorter cigar too. It's something that I think people in general have been enjoying and appreciating. So we do that. We're going to add that into the core line. So ongoing
cool.
offering. So no limited, nothing. That's pretty rare in that size because of how hard it is to roll. Simply, right? Production for one pair is under 150 cigars a day.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
it is
really,
that's
really hard.
Like really hard. Then.
Yeah. So to give you guys an idea, you might know, you might not. If you don't, Robusto Toro will be somewhere around 350 to 450 cigars a day per pair. Now we're at 150 for that size, so it's a challenge.
So you're literally almost like a fourth the production.
Yeah. And it's not like I can put all my pairs on that, because the skill set, the experience needed to be able to roll this is what we usually call small batch, the Salomones and Zero, stuff like this. So we literally have one pair rolling this. We've had them roll this since early this year. We started early this year and just constantly start rolling because we have a June release date for that cigar. So we need to build up inventory because we can't run behind with it. We just cannot run behind.
The last thing you want to do as soon as it lands, it's like, okay, we're sold out till November.
Yeah,
definitely.
Pretty much. Especially if you announce it's a core line like us, like idiots that we are. But we're excited about it because it's a challenge and it's something. But then on top of that, we're thinking, hey, what if we bring items that we use on a daily basis at the factory? And so we looked, and the first thing that came to mind is bandejas. So bandejas is what you use when you're, at the end, when you're putting your bands on your cigars, when you're putting the cigars in cello before they go into boxes. So it's flat, like trays. So we're working on different sizes right now to be able to decide on which count we're going to have. So that's one of the last details we have to fix.
Okay.
So 10, 15, 20, depends a little bit. I do 20 because it just looks amazing, but then it also becomes a question of, is it feasible to put on a shelf and stuff like this? So we'll have that question. We are waiting on the last samples, but that's going to be a beautiful presentation in line, just one line of cigars in front of you.
That sounds really cool, especially with the shape of that thing that's going to be.
When it's bringing items, the idea is bringing items that we use that, on a consumer level, on a retailer level, you might not be too aware of, or you might have heard of it, but you definitely won't have seen it if you haven't been into a factory. So we want to bring that and a little bit more of that kind of experience to the consumer. So that's going to be something that I want to challenge ourselves and the team to think a bit further, and maybe from time to time work on special projects like this to enter into core that will be presented a bit differently, and especially if it's special sizes, stuff like this. So that's where we're at for the core. And then one thing we briefly had a conversation before about limited edition. So every year trade show is limited edition. Well, not this year, because the LE is always July, and we're in March, so that doesn't work out really well. All I can say is we'll have an interesting size. There is a switch, an important switch in size, so I'm pretty excited about this. But then again, so we have the blend already, we have the size, we have the new molds, we have everything, but for that part, but we don't have boxes, we don't have bands. We're yet to get all this going, so that will be July, but I have nothing to show for now, and I honestly, as usual, don't have extra information on it. So
you know what though, now it's like, okay, now we've been teased, we know something cool is coming, there's actually multiple cool things coming. Now we know for a fact that, hey, something in July is going to drop that's going to be right in line with your LEs of the past, which have always been just outstanding cigars.
I appreciate that.
Sounds like a lot of exciting stuff. Definitely in the works.
It's going to be an interesting year. And I'm really excited to go back to the Gold Diamond, because I know it was a shock for a few people that follow us from early on. Like, are you going to get rid of it? And we're talking about Brian. Look,
who's this guy?
Here we go.
You got to say hi.
Hi. There we go. And so it's interesting to go back to the roots, right? Because we cannot forget where we come from, and this is where we come from. So I want to bring that focus on our side back on it. But make sure that it's not just, throw a size to throw a size. We'll make sure that those are interesting. So keep an eye out. Petite number 2s, white, black 2 and Viso, shipping now. Tempura, which this one's going to be really exciting, June, and then LE in July.
You heard it here first, guys. Definitely some exciting stuff. It's always cool to see somebody go like back to the roots and kind of get that rejuvenation, because it's always good. It's always good and refreshing, because it's what got you into it. It's what got you started. It's what's important, like you said. It's like what a lot of us,
it's the foundation of everything,
as the fans of Cavalier, have come to know and love. So now that's going to get the attention that it deserves, and get just a little bit of a refresh and get some new vibe into it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So definitely, Sebastian. It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
likewise.
for taking some time. I know it's been 3 long days, so we really appreciate it.
It's going to be nice to sleep after that. Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Boy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if the baby lets us sleep, we'll see that part. But
there you go. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Safe travels back home.
Likewise.
Thank you very much. So, guys, Kevin Acuff with SmokinTobacco.com here at PCA 2024 with coverage brought to you by Drew Estate. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.